And our fifth main topic today gets sent in to us by Elijah M., who writes, "Grand greetings." Well, thank you, Elijah. I was watching the news this morning, and they said that Disney Plus only managed to pull like 2 million new subscribers this entire quarter when they had originally projected to bring in about 10 million new ones. What do you think is the cause for this slowdown, and do you think they can get their momentum back? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, listen, the story of Disney Plus up until now has been the story of grand victory after grand victory after grand victory. It's been a story of victory. Huge launch numbers, huge growth trajectory after launch, massive growth as a result of the pandemic. I mean, you hate to talk about, listen, a lot of people suffered, a lot of people lost their lives, a lot of terrible, terrible things have happened. You hate talking about the good thing that came out of the pandemic, but if you're in the streaming game, you probably benefited a lot from the pandemic because everybody was staying home and everybody was signing up for, you saw huge growth numbers in both Netflix, obviously Disney Plus. There was a lot of growth in there. And it kind of felt like the party was never going to end, right? Because it was just victory after victory after victory after victory for Disney Plus. That has been the story of Disney Plus up till now. Well, this last quarter, it took a little bit of a shocking downturn. Anyway, this comes just from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. The number making 2 million new subscribers in the last quarter, the number was well short of Wall Street forecasts, which had pegged around 10 million new subscribers added. Analysts on average expected Disney Plus subscribers to reach 126.2 million for the quarter, per FactSet. In September, CEO Bob Chapek had cautioned that Disney expected the streamer's growth to slow down from the prior quarter to increase by a net of low single-digit millions of subscribers. Citing, in part, COVID-related production delays, the results sent Disney stock tumbling in after-hours trading, with shares falling more than 4% in one day. 4% in one day. So the question becomes, why? Why did Disney's, and Disney Plus, I should say, why did Disney Plus's ridiculous, earth-shattering, triumphant, onward and upward trajectory of growth suddenly hit a major bump and only bring in 20% of what they thought was going to be their grand total? They made 80% less new subscribers in the quarter than they were anticipating. At that rate, like, they've got these projections that by 2024, they're going to have like 220 million subscribers. Well, guess what? You ain't going to get to 220 million subscribers making 8 million new subscribers a year. You ain't going to do it. You ain't going to get there. So what did it? What happened? I want to suggest a couple of things here. And I don't know why I'm doing this, but I was not planning on doing this. But I'm going to open back up the Campea classroom here for a second, just to help me keep my own thoughts organized, if you guys will indulge me in doing so, that is. So let's bring back down the Campea classroom for a second. And we're going to ask the question, let's see here. We're going to ask the question, why the Disney Plus slowdown? That's what we're going to ask. Why the Disney Plus slowdown? What's going on? Why did all of a sudden this huge trajectory of growth and victory and all this kind of stuff kind of slow down? All right, I'm going to suggest one thing here. The first thing I want to suggest is this: the pandemic recovery. Just like we said a little bit earlier that, you know, in the hot days of the pandemic, we saw streaming services increase like crazy because everybody was staying home. Everybody who was intelligent and had any sense of social responsibility in the heat dog days of it were staying home, right? And they needed to keep the kiddies entertained. They needed to keep themselves from going crazy. And they were subscribing to streaming services they never even thought about subscribing to before, right when Disney was coming out and with the Disney Plus and launch, doing huge things, boom, 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 boom. But just as that was true, Fact of the matter is, the last quarter, more and more people have been going out. More and more people are going back to the movie theaters. They're going back to their restaurants. They're going back to football games. They're going back to NBA games. They're going out to parties. They're going out to family gatherings. They're going out to see their friends again. In as much as the pandemic was kind of the cause for a massive growth spurt, I think the slow but gradual recovery from the pandemic and more people getting out of the house make them feel less of a need to have to sign up to these streaming services. And I don't think Disney Plus is the only one. So, yeah, that's that. Reason number 2 is the insane initial growth. Here's the thing. If you've got 100 potential customers and 80 of them sign up for your service in the first week, there's only 20 potential customers left. Now, look, I'm not saying Disney Plus has run out of potential customers, but what I am saying is this. Disney fans are particularly a rabid and loyal fan base. Because you're talking about Marvel, you're talking Star Wars, you're talking Pixar, you're talking Disney Classic, you're talking Disney fans are a particularly loyal and excitable fan base. We are. I'm a part of that. I am a loyal and excitable part of that fan base, right? And when you have everybody, as soon as this service comes on in that first year with the pandemic, you have everybody signing up for it. Well, now you've got most people signed up for it. You've got most people who are going to be interested in a Disney streaming service kind of already signed up. They've already kind of signed up. So I think the insane initial growth is actually kind of one of the things that may be causing something we're seeing a slowdown now because so many people had already signed up for it. So I think that's one of it. Third one is this. Pace in international markets. Disney Plus has been doing a good job recently of getting their content out to international markets, but it has been a little bit slower than initially planned. They need to get more global. Netflix has been seeing incredible success with their international deals, their international content, and being in just about every international market. Disney is on its way to being that with Disney Plus, but of course, because a lot of the problems in the world, that pace has kind of slowed down a bit. But I think once you see them getting their international stuff more grounded and out there, you could see a little bit more of a growth spurt. Maybe not in North America, but that. All right. Next one is this. And now some of you may argue with me and disagree with me, and that's totally fine if you do. It's totally fine with you if you do. But there's this. Disney Plus doesn't put out nearly as much premium content as Netflix. They just don't. What was the last big thing Disney Plus released? What was it? Was it Loki? Was that it? How long ago was that? How long ago was Loki? It's been a beat. Some people are saying, what if? What if isn't that big? What if isn't that big? I mean, it's bigger than the John Campea Show. Yes, but what if wasn't that big, to be honest with you. Not everybody that was not must-see TV for a lot of people. Not a lot of average fans were watching What If, as much as they say watch Loki or WandaVision or, Falcon. But whereas Netflix, it feels like Netflix is dropping something big at the very minimum every week, but sometimes it almost feels like every day. Doesn't it feel like that? Doesn't it feel like it almost feels like Netflix is dropping at least one big major thing every week, but sometimes it feels like every day. And sometimes it's high profile stuff like a Stranger Things or a Old Guard or something like that. And a lot of times it's stuff that comes out of nowhere and surprises you, like Squid Game or Arcane. By the way, I'm really liking Arcane. That's a separate thing for another story. But I always feel like While Netflix is totally horrible at promoting their original content, and while they do a terrible job making original movies, their original movies are really quite ass poor, with a few exceptions, obviously, with a certain percentage of exceptions, but they always have new, interesting, and potentially breakthrough pop culture encompassing content that drops several times a week, right? Now, they've also been around longer than Disney Plus. So let's cut Disney Plus some slack on that, shall we? They've been around doing this a lot longer than Disney Plus has. So there's a little bit of that there too. But yeah, I mean, somebody just mentioned Cowboy Bebop is about to drop, right? Cowboy Bebop is about to drop. So I personally think we should not be shocked at the dramatic slowdown in growth for Disney Plus for the following reasons. The pandemic recovery has more and more people going out of their homes, and that's got to be expected. The insane initial growth is eventually going to taper off, and I think that's what we're seeing here. They need to get back on pace with their international market expansion, and they are, and I think you're going to see good results from that for them. And Disney Plus just quite frankly doesn't put out nearly as much premium content as Netflix does. Disney Plus puts out a lot of cheap little crap that a few people are going to watch here and there, but it's not often that they put out headline grabbing stuff, and it feels like Netflix does 3 or 4 times every single week. Now, do I think this is now the end for Disney Plus? Obviously not. We got a huge Disney Plus day coming tomorrow. We just talked about that at length. I think that's going to generate a lot of interest. I think once Disney ramps up their production, we can start seeing more premium content that's not necessarily Marvel focused or Star Wars focused coming out and stuff like that. I think the future is bright for Disney Plus. I absolutely do. I hope they can fix their streaming issues when they drop episodes, because that's always frustrating as hell. All right, next episode, Mandalorian's on. Great. Play. Sorry, can't connect. What? You guys have had that problem too, right? I mean, I'm not the only one. I hope they can fix that. But anyway, that's how I see it, guys. Question is for you. What do you guys think about this slowdown that for like 80% less growth in this quarter than they were anticipating, causing a 4% drop in their stock overnight? How do you guys feel about that? Why do you think that happened? How quickly do you think they're going to recover from it? I think they will. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.